So today, I want to discuss one of my favorite topics actually, because of the results that I have gotten in my recovery and life in general, with my family, with my business. No matter what it is, I always have structure around it. And what we come across a lot inside of Calusa is one of the first questions that I ask clients: where do you see one of your sticking points? What is something that you would like to fix? And a lot of them are very simple, almost fundamental responses similar to this. I'm bored. I don't know what to do with my time. I would like to be able to wake up when my alarm goes off. I can't keep my room straight. My truck is a mess. Things like this that you who might be viewing this might say, well, that seems like a pretty elementary thing. But unfortunately, when we get into a negative mindset, it becomes very hard to do very small tasks. And so why I say it's one of my favorite topics is because I stole something from an ex-Navy SEAL named Jocko Willink, who some of you may have heard of, but he has a book called Extreme Ownership. Fantastic read. If you haven't read it yet, I definitely recommend it, as well as Dichotomy of Leadership, which follows that book. But he plays off of a quote he came up, which is discipline equals freedom. And what we're essentially talking about is time, and how once we have an understanding on how to manage our time, then life actually becomes somewhat free because we aren't leaving things up for chance. And when we are using drugs and using alcohol, we are just wildly undisciplined. I have heard countless stories, and I'm a victim of it myself, countless stories where we have clients come in and say, yes, I had to miss Thanksgiving dinner because I was having withdrawals and I had to go and get what I needed. I have heard I've slept through so-and-so's birthday because I didn't wake up when my alarm was going off because I was so drunk the night before. And just stories along those lines that I have heard time and time again. Showing up for work late, it doesn't matter. And so the undiscipline is just, it's ravaging to the mind and body because you start to believe that you can't get anything accomplished. You start thinking that there is nothing worthwhile that you're able to do because you fail at so many things. Well, if I can't show up to a family dinner, how am I ever supposed to have a good paying job? And what we do here at Calusa, and we have built out a very strategic system that we hand our clients that are bulletproof, that I myself use on a daily basis, and we give you a matrix. We call it the recovery matrix, where you are able to put non-negotiables that you want to do every single day, and then we introduce you to time blocking. And this doesn't have to be anything crazy. This is simply when you would, just a couple of examples here. These aren't definites, these are examples. If you want to, let's say you want to work out, you want to read a book, and you want to have a good conversation with your girlfriend, then you would put those in your non-negotiables that we check in with daily on the online communication system that we use, and we keep each other accountable. And then on the back end of that, we have built out the recovery matrix, where we have, it's a Google sheet that we have made, and if you come, we give it to you as a lifelong asset. And you get to plug and play, and we have built out a formulated worksheet for you that you get to track month over month and get to put these non-negotiables that you want. And what this starts to do is you realize where you're dropping the ball and where you're succeeding at, and so you can have the game of balance and be able to figure out how to best use your time. Because if your time is not managed inside of recovery, I can tell you that you will fall off the wagon because you start to have second doubts, you get anxiety ridden, you get angry, and then as a byproduct of what happens, which is alcoholism, which centers in your mind and is the illness that centers in your mind, your brain takes over and says, you know what, you don't like feeling this way. I know what makes you feel better: drinking. And that is what we're trying to avoid. And so by you taking back your time, you structure yourself. And on a personal note, I, on my calendar every single week, have things that I enjoy that I even put on there because you get busy, you get in life, you have work, you've got kids, your dog, wife, whatever. The house is dirty, your car is dirty, and you forget about taking care of yourself. So I have on there 2 times a week where I have on my calendar 30 minutes where I sit down with my wife one-on-one on the couch, no phones, no nothing, and we just talk heart to heart. And that's a personal example of little things that I have my time managed with because we will forget. Life gets busy. We have 4 children. We have just a lot going on, and so it's easy to forget what's happening. I time block my workouts. I time block certain things and priorities that I have to do for my business. And by doing this, I know that I don't have to question it anymore. My decision processing, my decision fatigue isn't overran anymore because I have structure. And so in the very, very beginning of recovery, this is something we introduce you to right away when you come to Calusa because we believe in it so wholeheartedly because what we want to do is take away any extra chatter in the brain. And by taking back your time, you will be free. I can guarantee you it. And so I hope that this sheds some light and kind of gives you an idea of some of the stuff that we do inside of our walls. And again, we're not talking about not just picking up a drink or a drug. We're talking about making sure as a human being that we're starting to structure ourselves so we can be better for the people around us.